Welcome to part 8 of the series on the meditation techniques from Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. This ancient text from the tradition of Kashmir Shaivism offers 112 techniques, and most of these have been assimilated into various modern-day meditation systems. Presented in the form of a dialogue between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, these techniques are known as Tantra of Supreme Consciousness. In the previous 7 videos, we have briefly explored 69 techniques that use breath, body sensations, sensual pleasures, empty space, and so on as points of contemplation to reach meditative states. In this video, we will explore 12 techniques in which we get to see physical pain, thoughts of pain and pleasure, desires, the negative emotions, as well as the relativity of worldly phenomena becoming yogic paths. Let us begin. Technique 70, Shloka 93.
किञ्चिदङ्गं विबिध्याधौ तीक्ष्णसूच्यादिना ततः तत्रैव चेतनां युक्त्वा भैरवी निर्मला गतिः.
Pierce a little bit of any limb of the body with a pointed or sharp instrument, then gather your awareness there. It leads you into the pure consciousness of Bhairava. Pain is such a strong sensation that it is easy to focus on and maintain awareness of it for longer time. In this technique, we focus on the painful sensation with one pointed awareness. Then we transition into a state beyond pain. Technique 71, Shloka 94.
चित्ताद्यन्तकृतिर्नास्ति ममान्तर्भावयेदिति विकल्पानामभावेन विकल्पैरुज्झितो भवेत्.
The inner instrument of the mind is not within me. By contemplating thus, the mind becomes free from thought constructs and one will be liberated. The inner instruments of the mind include the ego and the intellect. By practicing this technique, one learns to detach oneself from these layers of the individual consciousness. Technique 72, Shloka 95.
माया विमोहिनी नामा कलाया कलनं स्थितम् इत्यादि धर्मतत्त्वानां कलयन्न पृथक् भवेत्.
Maya is the delusive principle of existence, causing names and limited activity. Knowing that thus is the nature of fundamental elements, one realizes oneness with Supreme Reality. This technique lies in the understanding of the reality of entities born of the 5 fundamental elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. For a layman, every object has its own identity, which is separate from that of other objects. But for a yogi, such separateness is only an illusion, and every object is one with Supreme Reality. Technique 73, Shloka 96.
जगितीच्चां समुत्पन्नाम् अवलोक्य शमं नयेत् यत एव समुद्भूता ततस्तत्रैव लीयते.
By observing desires which spring up in a flash and then putting them to rest, one will be absorbed into the source from which desires arise. Desires are a form of energy, and the source of all forms of energy is Supreme Reality. As long as a desire is alive in us, it prevents us from experiencing the stillness of Supreme Reality. Technique 74, Shloka 97.
यदा ममेच्छानुत्पन्ना ज्ञानं वा कस्तदास्मि वै तत्त्वतोऽहं तथा भूतस्तल्लेनस्तन्मना भवेत्.
Contemplate thus. Who am I when desires or knowledge have not arisen within me? In that state, I am truly of the nature of Supreme Reality. By such contemplation, one will be absorbed into that reality. This is the direct method of self-enquiry. Desires and knowledge are associated with the ego self. In the absence of them, what remains is a naked awareness of our existence. Technique 75, Sloka 98.
इच्छायामथवा ज्ञाने जाते चित्तं निवेशयेत् आत्मबुद्ध्यानन्यचेता तत्तत्त्वार्थदर्शनम्.
When a desire or knowledge arises, one should focus on it with one-pointed awareness, thinking that it is nothing other than one's own conscious self. Then the essence of the elements is revealed. In this technique, as soon as the practitioner is aware that a desire or thought has occupied his mind, he becomes a witness of the same, observing the movement of mental activity. Soon the thought or desire starts dissolving, revealing pure consciousness underneath. Technique 76, Sloka 99.
निर्निमित्तं भवेत् ज्ञानं निराधारं ब्रह्मात्मकं तत्त्वतः कस्यचिन्नैतद् एवं भावे शिवप्रिये.
O dear one, reality is causeless and needs no support, while knowledge is illusory. In fact, it does not belong to anyone. Contemplating thus, one becomes Shiva. This one refers to the relativity of knowledge. When we accept that we do not know anything that is absolutely true and that we do not own whatever we know, it helps us transcend the ego self. Technique 77, Shloka 100.
चिद्धर्मा सर्वदेहेषु विशेषो नास्ति कुत्रचित् अतश्च तन्मयं सर्वं भावयन् भवजिज्जनः.
Consciousness is undifferentiated in all bodies. By understanding that consciousness pervades all creations, one transcends one's relative existence. When we understand that we are part of the same consciousness that is shared by every animate and inanimate object, it will be easier for us to identify ourselves more and more with consciousness rather than the body and the mind. This will help us transcend the sense of separateness as individuals. Technique 78, Sloka 101.
कामक्रोध लोभमोह मदमात्सर्यगोचरे बुद्धिं निस्तिमितां कृत्वा तत्तत्त्वमवशिष्यते.
When lust, anger, greed, delusion, arrogance, and jealousy are seen within, focus the mind intensely on them. Then only the essence of self, which is the underlying principle, remains. This technique shows how even negative emotions are dissolved when we dwell on them with full attention. Shifting to witness mode and observing the movement is the key in these moments. Technique 79, Sloka 102.
इन्द्रजालमयं विश्वं व्यस्तं वा चित्रकर्मवत् भ्रमद्वा ध्यायतः सर्वं पश्यतश्च सुखोद्गमः.
Meditate on the manifested world as imaginary or elusive, like a magic show or a painted picture. Perceiving the world this way gives rise to joy. We suffer because we believe the world is real. When we realize the relativity of the material world, we stop worrying about our lives. Technique 80, Shloka 103.
न चित्तं निक्षिपेत् दुःखे न सुखे वा परिक्षिपेत् भैरविज्ञायतां मध्ये किं तत्त्वमवशिष्यते.
O Bhairavi, the mind should not dwell on either pain or pleasure. Know the essence of reality which remains in the middle. We always try to avoid pain and crave for pleasure. In the process, we suffer. This technique asks us not to entertain thoughts over pain and pleasure as they are transient. Technique 81, Sloka 104.
विहाय निजदेहस्थं सर्वत्रास्मीति भावयन् दृढेन मनसा दृष्ट्या नान्ये क्षिण्या सुखी भवेत्.
Abandoning the idea of being in the body alone, one should contemplate with a firm mind, I am everywhere. Then, not seeing others, one attains joy. Here, the practitioner does not think of his existence just within the limits of the body. Instead, he perceives that the entire space is filled by his consciousness. Then he no longer suffers from the sense of separateness from the outer world. With this, we are concluding part 8. In the next video, let us explore a few more of the 112 techniques. Thank you for watching.